You are listening to the Postcast, presented by the Locked On Senators podcast and the Glebe Central Pub. Make sure to check out the Glebe Central Pub in the heart of Bank Street, 779 Bank Street. You can get the Sens shuttle for just $17 round trip to and from the CTC. Visit them online, glebecentralpub.com, and go in for great food, awesome drinks, and an atmosphere where the vibes are absolutely free. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller. We got Jack Richardson with us tonight, wrapping up a late night 4-0 shutout victory, giving the Utah Hockey Club their first loss on home ice. Anton Forsberg, 31 saves with the shutout. Pilsy, how'd you see this one develop?
Well, this was one of those games, Ross, where the Ottawa Senators, we kind of had to give them the old wakey old boys to start because they didn't even get a shot until about 8 or 9 minutes in the game. And then it was like they got an espresso shot at that point because they jumped to it and put 4 goals up on the Utah Hockey Club. The good people at the Delta Center didn't know what to do with themselves. They start booing their new team already 1 period in as the Sens come to Salt Lake City. So a little bit of a slow start, but then they pack a big punch and then they were able to hold on. And Forsberg has one of the best performances we've seen from him in a long time.
Jack, we saw Anton Forsberg be spectacular a number of times tonight, early, late, in between, and we'll get to a lot of that a little bit later. But I want to tee you up with, to me, the TSN turning point. Ridley Gregg running over Jack McBain, scrum ensues, 4-on-4. Was that a moment for you where the tide turned?
Absolutely. I think Ridley Gregg being back in the lineup in general is just big. I think that was kind of buried this morning with the news. I think we kind of haven't even talked about it, that Linus Ullmark wasn't playing. It was expected that he was going to at least back up, I think. Levi Marilainen gets the call last minute. Mads Søgaard gets sent down before the road trip. Everyone's happy. It's Linus Ullmark time. We're back for the road trip. Starting goalie back in net. All these headlines this morning burying the lead that Ridley Gregg's back in the lineup and that Anton Forsberg is getting back in the net. And maybe there's a bit of motivation there for Forsy. Like it's a, you know what, no one wants me in net. It's excitement that I'm not in net. And he gets back in and he's and plays, like you said, one of the best games that we've seen him play in a Sens jersey. But yeah, Ridley Gregg being back, to me, like he just kind of completes that top 9. Like I'm a huge Ridley Gregg fan, and I think that hit on Jack McBain just stirs the pot a little bit. And I think that the hit itself, sure, not super, impactful. It's just a collision. Let's say Ridley Gregg's not a huge guy. The location of where it happens on the ice matters. And I know that, you may not notice that when you're on the ice, there's glass along the ice everywhere. And when you make an open ice hit like that, where you knock an opponent down in front of his own bench, it's not just that you've done the hit, you've made the play to get the puck. You're hearing it from every single person on that Utah bench, chirping Ridley Gregg. So that's what his game is, getting that done early in the period, especially when the Sens had their back against the wall, when Forsberg was at his best early in that first period. That hit, I'm glad you mentioned it, because that hit on Jack McBain was probably Ridley Gregg's best play of the game, and he scored that period too, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, you love to see that from Ridley Gregg. And he didn't just hit anyone on the hockey club. He hit one of their bigger guys and knocked him down too. And then classic Ridley just sneaks his way out of that situation, heads on the bench, and McBain and I forget, someone else, was it Shabby, gets cross-checking penalties. Like 2 other guys get penalties, and he just finds his way out of trouble and smiles on the bench. So that's Ridley Gregg in a nutshell. And then he ends up getting another laugh by getting a goal in this game too. So that's quite a return for Ridley Gregg.
So Anton Forsberg makes a couple huge saves in the first couple minutes of this game. That play happens 11:22 into the period. And then just 20 seconds later, Drake Batherson takes a seam pass from Josh Norris and makes no mistake. But we got to give some stick taps to Nick Jensen on the entry on that play. His first of 2 assists on the night. The second one comes just a minute and 20 seconds later, where he looked like Bobby Orr for a couple seconds, dancing across the blue line, finds Claude Giroux. He makes no mistake. Giroux gets his second of the season, and then it was another 2 quick goals at the end of the period. With a minute 55 left, Ridley Gregg on just a little slot play where the puck bounces to him and it's in the back of the net in the blink of an eye. And then with 8 seconds left in the period, Brady Tkachuk puts home a rebound. He's on a 6-game point streak, by the way. He's got a point in every single game this season for the Ottawa Senators. So it was bang, 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 and Anton Forsberg did the rest in this one, Pilsy.
Yeah, and I will give proper props to Nick Jensen tonight. I mean, in a matter of a minute and 23 seconds, he helps the Senators get to 2 goals, a 2-0 lead. And I don't even know which one I thought was more impressive. His assist on the first one, because he does a good job holding up, finding Norris, and Norris already sees Batherson on the far side, and one-touch passes, a nice dish from Noof, who famously said in that mic'd up practice video, "Oof, I'm not a disher." Well, he showed it on that one as he feeds Batherson. And then the 2-on-1 with Giroux, sure, maybe not the best pass Claude Giroux has ever got in his career, as he has to make kind of like an awkward lunge forward and then kicks it with his foot. But when you're Claude Giroux, there's no such thing as a bad pass. He makes a play happen, and he just chips it up over Ingram for a nice goal. But yeah, Jensen looked really great tonight. Finishes 2 assists and a +3. Nice.
Very nice for Nick Jensen. I want to touch on Claude Giroux's goal a little more, because that point put him into sole possession of 69th in National Hockey League history. That was his 1,071st point for Giroux. Don't you remember when he was 70 points away from 1,000, becoming an Ottawa Senator? Hits that in year 1, and now he's all the way up to 69th on the all-time list. And spoiler alert, he's not done there. He's starting to find his rhythm. That's 3 points in the last 2 games now for G Money. That all the G's came to play today. It was Noah Gregor that jumped in that scrum to help out Ridley Gregg. I thought he was good on the penalty kill tonight. Those 2 together, and that's Dean Brown's nightmare. Gregg to Gregor on the same line, but those 2, they just add this element. I thought Pinto had a decent game too. That trio played well, but it just came down to holding the fort after that. This was an Anton Forsberg victory. Was there a save that you boys liked the most, or that was a biggest momentum save? Because he went post to post, left to right, right to left. It didn't matter. He was there in an instant, and that's a continuation. I know Kucherov beat him on 1, but he stopped Kucherov on a pair of those on Saturday as well. He's moving laterally as well as I've seen him since the surgery.
I think with Forsberg, what's been the most talked about thing has been not necessarily, weak goals have happened, but it's been this stat that followed the Sens last season, which was allowing a goal on the first shot or second shot of the game. So to me, it's not a specific save that stands out. There's a few, but he didn't really sprawl out and rob anyone tonight. He just he played extremely well because he didn't let in anything soft. But to me, it's any of those saves that happened before what ended up being the game-winning goal by Batherson in the first period. Anything before that from Forsberg was the save of the game for me. I think it was 8 or 9 saves he had before the Sens even had a shot, for God's sake, which is crazy, right, to think about. But any save that he made, I think the first one he had, I was like, you know what, that's a good one. Just get the feel for the puck. I think every goalie is the same way, where you just get a feel for the puck early and you maybe you start feeling your game a little bit. But it was all those saves in the beginning of the game where I was feeling a bit more confident about Anton Forsberg. And then again, like any game where a goalie's playing well, you're kind of maybe not counting down, but you're thinking in your head, you're like, oh, maybe the next one's going in, or there's going to be a moment here in the game where he kind of has a moment where he lets one slip by, but he never did. So honestly, I think he just started well from the beginning, and it was really poetic for me just because of how this day started for Sens fans, where it was a surprise that Ullmark wasn't going to even be dressing, and it was a surprise recall for Levi Marilainen. So that for me, like I don't have a specific save, but just his game in general from in that first 10 minutes where the Sens looked awful. And Utah, by the way, I think it's worth a mention. I know the Sens shut them out. It was a quiet barn. They were booing the team at the end of the first period. It was crazy.
Yep.
That barn, though, and those fans, that team just looked like a different franchise, honestly, than what the Arizona Coyotes looked like the last few years. I think that's pretty cool to see. And like the fact that the Sens were the first Canadian team to get down there for a game with the broadcast and everything. Claire Hanna mentioned it a lot on the broadcast tonight, that they were the first Canadian team to be down there. It's pretty special, to be honest. Like, it's pretty cool to see that the fans were rocking. I think it's very cool what's going on in Utah right now, but also very cool that the Sens were able to kind of, extinguish that flame tonight. And Anton Forsberg is kind of the reason why in those first 10 minutes for me.
Yeah, they hand the hockey club their first loss at home. So that's always nice when you're on the right side of that.
We're the hockey club now.
Yeah. Who's the hockey club now? The Ottawa Senators hockey club. I mean, Forsberg, to me, I thought he had a bunch of really good saves, especially like people are talking about, and you mentioned, Jack, at the start of the game. That Josh Doan chance at the start of the game was one where I think all Sens fans were holding their breath, like, okay, he's getting tested early. He's not just getting to feel the rubber. That's a really good opportunity. And where I thought Forsberg excelled was his game down low. How many of the times, Ross, were his post-to-post saves pad saves? And he would make a nice pad save, give up a rebound, which will happen on a low shot. You got the big pillows there. They're going to bounce off. But how do you get back into position and keep yourself in the play? By sprawling out, stretching those pads out, and he would make a right pad save, rebound, left pad save. Like, for him to be able to do those back-to-back ones when maybe the defense necessarily can't get a clear or can't tie the guys up in front to bail him out on the second save, he was right there. So I got nothing but good things to say about Forsberg, especially when you look good, you play good. Shout out that new mask he has. Honestly, one of my favorites I've seen in a long time. So nice job, Forsy. Damn.
Yeah, shout out Free Designs, FRID Designs. You can go check them out on Twitter. We're going to connect with them over the course of the next little while. He still has that like matte gold cage on it. Seems like maybe that's something that he's just comfortable seeing out of. But when the designer posted the mask, it was with a chrome cage. So interesting to see that Forsy took that off. Maybe that's something where he wants to get used to it in practice a little bit more before just diving into a game with it. But he certainly looked awesome tonight, both with his style and with the way that he was able to eat rebounds. The only save that we didn't even see, if you're watching the broadcast on Sportsnet Plus like I was, where they were still at commercial break and Josh Doan had a breakaway and they came back and showed the replay. He put it with a sand wedge up 10 feet over the net. So that was a nice little break there. Another break for the Ottawa Senators tonight was playing against Connor Ingram. We talked about a nice story, him having a great year last year and establishing himself as an NHL goalie after a lot of adversity early in his career. But it's not our fault that we're on the right side of a poor goaltending performance. I would argue the Ottawa Senators deserve that more than any team this year. He lets in 4 goals and makes 5 saves in this game. He gets pulled after the first period, and that's all she wrote in this one. I thought Vejmelka was good. He didn't let in any goals after that, but Ottawa got all the offense they needed in that first period, scoring, I believe, on 2, if not, 2 consecutive shots back-to-back there. They had 2 goals.
Minute 23 apart.
Unreal. And then honestly, the Brady Tkachuk goal, as inconsequential as it may seem, being the 4-0 goal, but that just put a nail in the coffin. And I don't think the home crowd boos the team off the ice without that 4th one. That was really, I think, an exclamation point on a period where, if you look at that, what is it? The nerds love it. The deserve to win a meter after the first period, it was probably 80% for the Utah Hockey Club. But on the scoreboard, it read 4-0, and the Ottawa Senators were able to cradle this one home. See a lot of people in the comments as well, noting that this is the type of game where the Ottawa Senators may have sat back on the lead a little even more than they did. And I thought their third period was a good kind of, we're going to commit defensively. I thought Brady had a couple great defensive shifts in the third period. He was really impressive to me away from the puck, and they're going to need everybody on board if they're going to be able to pull out more and more victories. This was their 4th of the year, and I'll tell you after the break why that number is critical as they head into a tough back-to-back on the weekend. Not games back-to-back, but the 2 next games, Friday and Sunday, in Vegas and in Colorado. Plenty more to get to, including our Sens Central standouts. But as always, the Postcast is brought to you by the Glebe Central Pub. If you head to 779 Bank Street on a Sens game day and let them know that Locked On Senators sent you, boom, just like that, 10% off your bill. The vibes are free at the GCP. They've got live music every Saturday night, so you can go there and jam out, get your wings, get your club sandwich, and get a few beverages into you, and make sure that you're always having a good time. You can also get the Send Shuttle for just $17. It's an awesome deal. You'll get the Send Shuttle to and from the CTC, and it is the perfect way to just leave all of your keys and anything else at home and just bring your vibes and bring your attitude to the rink. They've also got a shuttle going to and from the Bruce Springsteen concert. So if that's something that you're going to, then you can make sure to get there safely at the Glebe Central Pub. 779 Bank Street. The vibes are free at the GCP.
This episode is also brought to you by our friends over at PrizePicks. It's the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and $1 billion in award winnings. PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just have to pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long. You heard me right, guys. You can win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play your first 5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks is the best way to win real money. Do you know which player is going to go off? Which players isn't going to go off? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long. So just download the app today. Use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 off instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. PrizePicks. Run your game.
Welcome back to the Postcast. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller and Jack Richardson. You can follow us all on Twitter. The links are in our description here on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. We got 370 citizens riding with us at 12:45 a.m. Eastern. Woo! Awesome vibes after the Senators get a road win west of the Eastern time zone. Boys, matching last year's total in 16 games.
We talked about breaking curses, right? Jack, you were worried this was going to be a curse, a late night game you're joining. You hadn't had the best record with those. But this is a brand new hockey club, the hockey club.
The hockey club.
And the Ottawa Senators, despite adversity not getting Ullmark back, Forsberg's able to come in, save the day, get the shutout, and already the Western road swing is looking so much better than it did all of last season.
And boys, this is our 99th win. The totals haven't been updated.
Oh, you got it. No way.
Mark Hamad is awesome. A great citizen. He was on with us a little while ago, and he's been keeping track of the records for the postcast. So, boys, this is only the fourth one that the three of us have all done together.
Damn.
And this is now we're now 2-2, the trio of us, and we got 99 wins as a postcast entity in 217 games.
Is this my fifth win?
No.
No, it can't be.
Am I missing one?
No, it might actually
I see
be.
3.
No, this
one.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's your sixth win. Oh my goodness!
Wow. Okay, because I was gonna say like this
in 17 games.
The intro music and like the everything. I was like, I've never felt a win before. Like in this, the 1-14-1 record. Like I just this is cool. This is fun. Like talking about a win. It doesn't feel like it's almost 1 a.m. Eastern time when it's about a win. On the losses, it does though. So it's great to be here after a great win, not even just a close one. Like it was wrapped up after the first period, but this is cool. I think you'd pull up the stat sheet. This is cool to see.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna really take the vibes away from you here because I'm putting Jack on the trivia seat right now. Pilsy, you can sit this one out. Going into tonight's game, Anton Forsberg had a save percentage of .863. What do you think it is now?
This isn't trivia. This is math.
So this season, yeah, you're just exposing my math skills. I mean, so he's played. This is his third game, fourth game, but third win or start that got registered because he's 2-1 now. I'm gonna say it's 8.
Chat's helping you out.
I'm not looking. I'm not cheating. I'm gonna say it's still under 900. I'm gonna say it's 895.
904 with one game. Okay. Anton Forsberg is up to league average. That's how spectacular he was in this game.
That's all we asked for from Forsberg. Just be average. Honestly, if he can maintain a 905 throughout the rest of this year and Ullmark can get back to the way we hope Ullmark can play, which is playing at all. Let's start with that. But for Forsy, you just got to give him credit. We were hard on him when he deserved to be getting really tough criticism. But when he gets a shutout like this and shuts the door unexpectedly and has to be the hero, well done, Forsy. Well done.
Dude, the boys could be in Vegas in like an hour. Like, let's go. Wheels up.
Green light.
Let's go. They've got 2 days to prepare for the Vegas Golden Knights on Friday night. It's a 6:00 start Eastern. I guess it's a state holiday in Nevada, but we won't complain about that because that's a perfectly normal time here to be tuning in to Sens hockey on a Friday night. Shout out to the chat. Appreciate people throwing a few shekels in the guitar case. Means a lot to us here. Before we get to the Sens Central standouts, I'm going to ask a question just for the sake of asking it. Pilsy, does Anton Forsberg start Friday night?
No, I don't think so. Okay. Just because, it's just so crazy that Ullmark was seemingly ready to go. Like, everyone was talking about how Ullmark was ready to go. And then not only is he not ready to go, but he's not ready to back up. Levy is on an emergency flight over. Like, it just seemed weird to me. I'm hoping that this was just hey, if you're not 100%, maybe you're 90, let's just hold off and we'll get you to 100% and then you'll start. So I'm saying Ullmark starts on Friday, but
if he's 95% at this point, it's like you're feeling a lot more confident with Forsberg than you were 24 hours ago.
Yeah, and that's fair. And coming off a shutout, maybe you just want to ride that hot hand, and a strain is one of those things where you might feel good, and then in warmups or on the ice, you tweak something, and then you're back down from 95 to 90 or 85, and you got to play around with that. So if they have to go for Forsy for another one, a 5th straight start, you want it to be coming off a shutout. So that's fine.
All right, let's get to our Sens Central standouts presented by the Glebe Central Pub. Boys, who wants the low-hanging fruit?
Let's give it to Jack.
I mean, obviously, is it bad if I don't take Forsberg because we just spent the last 20 minutes talking about him?
Okay, I'll go first. Anton Forsberg. All right, Jack, you're up.
Okay. I'm gonna go with a guy who I've talked about on the last postcast we were on, which was after the Devils game. Didn't mention him as a Sens Central standout, but he was a bit of like a last minute, hey, we should talk about this guy. I'm going Nick Jensen. I mentioned in our group chat during the game that I felt like he was playing well, and then he had that Erik Karlsson-esque 4-on-4 shift where he got 2 assists in those quick goals. He just looks great. Him and Shabbat were +3 tonight, which Thomas Shabbat, I'm obviously not ragging on Thomas Shabbat, but having a plus rating that high just in a game in general for Thomas Shabbat is not common. So I think Nick Jensen's factor with Shabbat is huge. Like the fact that we're not worried about Jake Sanderson because he's Jake Sanderson. He can play with Travis Hamonic. He can play with whoever he wants. I'm not concerned about the D-core at all without Artem Zub. And it's because Nick Jensen's here. Like you could talk about, Jacob Chikrin was probably the better defenseman that was shipped out, but they obviously addressed an issue that needed to be addressed, which was getting another right shot defenseman for the top 4. He can motor. He can skate more than I think anyone gave him credit for when he came in. He plays hard, and honestly, he can move the puck better than I thought he could. So I think Nick Jensen is kind of, through these 6 games, he's just gotten better and better. And maybe it's not him getting better and better. He's just, acclimating. He's an older guy. Preseason, admittedly, I don't think he looked that great, but I think he just looks great beside Thomas Shabbat. And the reason I like him so much is, his play is great. The stats are helpful. But that play he made on Claude Giroux's goal, even before that, was incredible. Like he almost had a highlight reel goal himself. But what I like the most is that this excuse for Thomas Shabbat, again, I'm not saying that Shabbat has been full of excuses his career. But the narrative with Shabbat has been, he's been playing with partners that don't support him. He's been playing with Nikita Zaitsev, with Hamonic, with all these guys who aren't good enough to be a top pairing, but Nick Jensen is. I think it's been 6 games. I'm ready to say. So I like number 3. Something about number 3 with the Ottawa Senators playing as a stay-at-home defenseman for a offensive defenseman sits well with me. So I'm going Nick Jensen in a game that obviously Anton Forsberg was the first star tonight, but Nick Jensen to me stood out a little bit.
I like that pair was on for 1 goal, 4, none against at 5-on-5. Of course, another one at 4-on-4 or 2 at 4-on-4 on top of that. So they're on the ice for 3 out of the 4 goals for the Ottawa Senators. And also Nick Jensen led the Ottawa Senators, actually tied with Noah Gregor, but led all defensemen with defensive zone starts, had 8 of those. So certainly a reliable, and he had a couple moves even on the forecheck where he's trying to seal off the wall and was all the way back. And then next thing I knew, boom, he was in the defensive zone, was able to hustle on the back check there. So that's a great pick. Jack, Pilsy, you're up.
We already kind of talked about Ridley Gregg, so I'll go a different direction because I did think Ridley had a nice game. So I'm going to go with the captain, Brady Tkachuk. I mean, he gets a goal in this one. He gets 2 shots, 1 block, 5 hits. You mentioned the point streak, and he was good in the faceoff dot, 57.1%. Not a lot of Senators were good in the faceoff dot, so it's nice when Brady can kind of pick up the slack. He goes 4 for 7, so you love to see that. And if Brady Tkachuk can consistently just string along a point here, a point there, I mean, he's had a point in all 6 games, so you can't ask for much more from him there. But I think it's really going to go a long way to keeping this offense humming. And if Brady's able to keep it going, the rest of the team isn't going to have as much kind of weight on their shoulders like last year, where the bottom 6 just seemed like if they didn't get it going, the team was going to collapse. So hopefully the captain leading the way can help other people pick up some points along the trail as well.
Yeah, I like that. I thought that he was sturdy, and I already mentioned the first segment. I thought defensively, Brady Tkachuk brought his A game today. He was good around the puck, and you know what? I think in years past, that play at the end of the game where he takes a little 2-hand from Robert Bertuzzo, I think he just drops the gloves and kind of has his wires crossed.
Well, they've already fought, haven't they?
I don't know. Maybe a couple of years ago. Seems like the type of quality
when he was in
player.
St. Louis, did they fight?
Well, you might be thinking of that Tyson Tucker guy.
Oh, maybe it was Tucker. Yeah.
Yeah. But a couple of years ago, he's dropping the gloves there 100%. So I'm glad to see that there was a bit of restraint on his part. It's a 4-0 game. It's not one of those fights where he's trying to get momentum or anything like that. He just needs to walk away, give him the old scoreboard point, and away you go. So I like that. Why don't we snap it around twice? Or do you want to just say Ridley Gregg's your other one? Because I think he deserves to be a Sens Central standout tonight.
Yeah, I'll take Ridley Gregg because, that hit, like you mentioned, was a big moment. And just Ridley Gregg is just so funny the way he weasels out of that without any kind of consequences. And then he ends up a good play, like Shane Pinto on that play. He slips and falls, but shout out to Pinto. He makes sure that he pulls the puck towards him, and then he's basically signaling, hey, I'll hold the puck here while I'm down, but I need some reinforcements. Ridley doesn't waste any time, gets in there. The puck goes loose. It's bobbling between skates, and Ridley just does the simple play. Toss it on net, especially a low shot there is really effective because Ingram couldn't really track the puck. And then by the time he finds where the puck is, he can't see Ridley Gregg's release. And that puck's already in the back of the net. And it's a nice goal for Ridley Gregg on his return. So especially with Perron being out of the lineup, it's huge that Ridley Gregg was able to step up and return.
Love that. Jack, you got another one?
Sure do. Yeah. I feel like I kind of feel bad not saying him in the first place. Can we talk about Drake Batherson? Like, this guy has 4 goals in the last 3 games. He finally looks like I don't want to say he's back to what he was before his high ankle sprain with Aaron Dell. I know that for those who saw the full broadcast, Claire Hanna had a nice piece with Batherson and his dog, Bobby, his French bulldog, in the first intermission, just at the dog park, just basically talking about his dog. But he talked about how during that injury, he got the dog. So he was kind of bringing it back. They showed some highlights of Aaron Dell ruining his own career by taking out Drake Batherson in the corner there in 2021 or 2022, whatever it was. But anyway, I think Drake Batherson looks better than he ever has. Like, he looks faster than I've ever seen him look. And obviously Josh Norris being back has been a major help for him. The fact that those two are able to connect at even strength now too, I know that it was 4-on-4, but that's still even strength, is huge. And I think that having him on that second line, wherever he is, just as a second, option to getting the matchups other than Stützle and Tkachuk, because those guys are getting the top line. They're getting Sergachev for tonight, or, against Vegas, they're going to get Pietrangelo, and whoever it is. Against Colorado, they'll get Makar. So having Batherson and Norris available at even strength to work like that with Giroux now, which we talked about on the last postcast I was on, mixing up the lines a little bit, giving those guys an extra guy other than Noah Gregor. I'm really, really happy with what we're seeing from Drake Batherson. I think this whole documented thing of him being in Nova Scotia, training in the summers with Brad Marchand, with Sidney Crosby, with Nathan McKinnon, we're seeing that pay off now. Like, he looks like a different player this year, just faster, harder on pucks. He's being a true power forward. And I think that's so valuable. Like, he's never even mentioned with this core because he's not making 8 sheets, like all these guys. I think they have what now, 6 with Olmark making over 8, or Norris.
Well, it'll be next year. It'll be next year.
Sure. But Batherson's at 4.9. He's not even at 5. Like, he's a bargain for the player he is. So him getting 4 goals in 3 games to start the year here is massive. So I think Drake Batherson deserves a shout out, just the way he's producing offensively. But other than that, he looked great as well at even strength, which I don't think was a strength of his in years past.
No, agree with that. He was throwing his body around tonight as well. 3 hits for Drake Batherson, had 2 shots on goal as well. And actually, I want to get to this after. I'll just wrap up quickly on our Sens Central standouts. And look, a part of me wants to go with Travis Hamonic because I think he was laying out, led the team in block shots tonight. I mean, he was great on the penalty kill. I actually think the pair of Clevin and JBD, #NodakSens, have been working great together. But I'm going to stick up front with mine, and I'm going to go with Nick Cousins. It's not showing up on the score sheet, but 4 shots on goal, and he had the 2 best chances the Senators had in the second period. Had a nice little toe drag, good save by Vejmelka, and then another one in tight. So I think that you're just showing that every line is giving you a little something different. And I thought Nick Cousins had probably his best game as an Ottawa Senator tonight. So I wanted to give him a little bit of love here as we wrap up 6 Sens Central standouts after a 4-0 Ottawa win over the Utah Hockey Club. The shots on goal favor the Utah Hockey Club tonight, 31-22. Ottawa goes 1 for 1 on the power play. That's all they needed to extend it to 5 out of 6 games this year that the Senators have scored with the man advantage. Utah has 61% of the faceoffs tonight, 61% of the shot share at 5-on-5, the Ottawa Senators out-hit them 37-27 in this game and outblocked them 16-12. I still haven't discussed why the number 4 was so important tonight, not only on the scoreboard, but also number of wins so far this season. I'll do that right after Pillsy has a quick word from our friends over at Gametime.
Yes, Gametime. They got a new feature called Gametime Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Gametime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you're not wasting your time searching through thousands of tickets. And you want to know what the price is right at the front of the deal, so you're not hit with surprise fees at checkouts? Turn on the all-in pricing feature on the app. And if you want it to be at the Ottawa Senators' first game against the hockey club, and you're not sure what seats are going to look like because it's a new arena and hundreds of the seats, you can't even see one of the nets, but you didn't know that, you could have gone on Gametime and used the panoramic view, so you could have seen that that was the case. They got the lowest price guarantee. They'll credit you 110% of the difference, and your purchase is covered with one of the most flexible customer service policies in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Gametime.
All right, final segment here. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller. We've got Jack Richardson celebrating his fifth win all time. Sixth on the Postcast. Count them. What I love tonight about the TSN broadcast, one, this was my first time listening to a full Matt Cullum game. I thought he was fantastic.
Great
I thought
call.
He calls a really good game. We're going to get him on the show in a little while. We're going to try to catch up with Claire Hanna at the airport tomorrow. So she's doing segments at dog parks, arenas, and airports.
She does it
all.
all.
With her on Locked On Sens tomorrow. But I love that the broadcast stayed for the entire intro. Like seeing the intro, the EDM music was bumping. They came out. But my question, Jack, what's the goal horn sound like in Utah?
I don't know. And honestly, I watched some highlights in their other games, and the crowd was so loud when they scored that I couldn't even hear it. And I was curious tonight. I was like, you know what? Maybe we'll hear it even like late in the game when some of the fans had filed out after they booed the team in their third ever home game when they lost. I was thinking, hey, maybe we'll hear what this horn sounds like, because it's like one of those deep ones. Like, I feel like there's 10 goal horns in the NHL that sound the exact same, like Toronto, Tampa, Vegas. Like anyway, but yeah, we'll never know, and we won't find out till next season if we're Sens fans, because they will not play there unless it's the Stanley Cup final this coming season.
Imagine the hockey club in a Stanley Cup in a final. Woo.
Well, we're going to now be known as the Ottawa Hockey Club, and that's an Ottawa Hockey Club that's won 4 of their first 6 games, which means our fake playoffs. It's really sad.
Yeah. Oh, we're moving on to round 2, baby. Let's go.
We're moving on to round 2. It took 6 games, and the Ottawa Senators never won a Game 7 in their franchise history. So that's very good to get it taken care of in 6 games. 4-2. The series is final, and we can move on to the next round. So that's a big check mark next to the opening drive. Look, we haven't gotten to November yet, and I don't think Sens fans will feel comfortable until we get past it of the ires of years past. But very good start. And the second 7-game series is even tougher, starting with the 2 road games. Hey, we're the lower seed now. We're going in to 2 tough barns in Vegas and in Colorado. So I'm excited to see what this next one is, but you can turn the page and put a little check mark that it's been a successful first 6 games of the season.
Yeah, I mean,
hasn't always been pretty though.
I'm not about to apologize for being 4-2. It feels great to be 4-2, and the Ottawa Senators have found ways to get wins, and that's what you need to do. It's not always going to be an ideal situation where you're going to have your starting goalie, a newly acquired free agent, your top shutdown defenseman. Like, you're going to have guys missing from the lineup, and you're going to have to figure it out. And the Ottawa Senators, it wasn't pretty. They started slow, but they come out with the 4-0 win. So I'm happy.
So Ross, this was an earlier question you had about Ullmark versus Forsberg in the next two games.
Just
Like,
the next one.
The next one.
Carried away.
I want Ullmark in Vegas.
Okay.
But in Colorado, if you're kind of on the fence about Ullmark going back-to-back, even though it's not actually back-to-back, just back-to-back games in general, I'd be okay going Forsberg in Colorado based on what's happening in Colorado now. I think you got to look at who you're playing. And I know you're on the road for both, but Colorado has been one of the worst teams goaltending-wise. I don't know how they ended up tonight because every single team played tonight, which is awesome and ridiculous at the same time. Frozen Frenzy, which we can't really get in Canada, which is great. But the idea of Forsberg, I think, playing in Colorado sits better with me than him playing in Vegas, even though he just played fantastic and he was the best player in the game.
When I was going to ask you, Jack, because wouldn't you rather Forsy play against Vegas, a team that has beaten down on the Sens seemingly every time because he's got the hot hand, and then you give Ullmark a little more rest, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but an easier opponent in Colorado?
No, because I feel like Colorado will be more of a shootout, and I thought tonight was going to be a shootout.
Same.
So I think that Forsberg is kind of prepared for that. Like, he's ready for an onslaught. And like, look, Utah doesn't have a Nathan McKinnon or a Kel McCarr or a Mikko Rantanen, or I can keep going down the list.
They don't even have a Ross Colton.
They don't have a Ross Colton. They've got a Dylan Gunther, who I started in fantasy tonight when I heard that Forsberg was playing, which we'll put to the side. He had a couple shots. He was all right.
One in the first period off the right pad. I thought that was a clean save from Forsberg.
On the power play.
Yeah.
I will say, like, with all the like kind of tongue in cheek things we're saying, Utah looks good. Like, they look fast at the beginning.
Yeah. I think fast.
They were kind of on the reverse side of what we've experienced as Sens fans, right? I think as Forsberg has experienced being the guy who lets in 3 goals on 10 shots, I think Connor Ingram was doing what Forsberg has done for the last little bit here. One thing I did want to mention about Forsberg, because I'm sure you guys have talked about it, but coming back from 2 MCL surgeries on the exact same play and having a night like tonight, like, this is kind of might be, who knows, but it's kind of a turning point maybe for Anton Forsberg. Like, he's 31, 32. Like, he's on the other side of the age for professional athletes where you're looking at them being like, you know what?
Thank you for qualifying that, because he's my age.
Okay. So, but I don't want to say
he's on the other side.
He's on the other side of 30 where you're saying, you know what? I don't know if I'm going to invest in this player or whatever it is. We're looking at Matt Sogard. We're looking at Levi Marilainen being like, for the backup goalie next year. I think the Sens there's reports being saying they're going to look at other backup goalies long-term, but for Forsberg in the last year of his contract to have a game like this in October, after what happened to him, like, I don't think anyone really talks about how double MCL injury on the exact same play is, first of all, extremely rare and extremely hard to come back from. So for him to have this kind of game was really cool. And I think to see, I love cheering for Anton Forsberg, waiver wire goalie, gets the contract, tough injury, and then has a game like this. So I'm rooting for him. I am. And yeah, like, I think that I'd start him for the next 3. Keep Ullmark healthy. Let's just do it. Levy's up already. Just keep rolling. He's the hot hand, Pilsy. Like
Jack's like, just shelf Ullmark. We're rolling good now. Shelf him. Save him for playoffs.
Put him on LTIR.
Levy to play Vegas.
Put him on LTIR. I don't like. Let's get the cap space. Let's make a trade.
Oh,
let's get creative.
Will you guys allow me to get wild here for a second? Because I got something to pull up.
Sure.
Okay, as long as it's not the spins. Okay, good.
I was gonna mention this. Let's go. Yes.
Senators are tied for second in the division, and they've played 2 less games than the only team ahead of them that has 1
points percentage.
And
you want to do points percent? Y'all want to see them at the top?
Yeah.
Oh, the only team above them is the Tampa Bay Lightning, who happen to have one of those 2 losses against your Ottawa Senators.
Well, let's go back to just the points. If you can reorganize that for me, just quickly here.
Oh,
go back to just the points.
Just for now? Okay.
Look at the top 2. Who have the Sens beaten this year?
Oh, nice, Jack. Got him.
Let's take it even further.
This is gonna hurt Pilsy. Pilsy, who'd they lose to?
New Jersey Devils. That's all right.
Oh, on this page right here.
What, Lane Hudson and his
Je ne pas souviens.
No, does
that work? Did I
Actually,
get
I
that?
haven't even. I think we're deep enough in. How was that game? I haven't talked to you guys. I didn't even listen to that postcast.
No, you didn't have to.
Okay.
Montreal game, it sucked, Jack.
Okay.
It sucked because like the only time we had anything to cheer about, we were like standing up. We're like, okay, that's one. They're down 3-0. It was like, okay, that's one. And then the next shift they scored to make it 4-1.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
And that was talking Sens Habs from a week and a half ago. Thanks for bringing it. I guess I brought it up.
Yeah, and it wasn't really a big deal to me, just a meaningless game. So
Just another game on the schedule.
Just another game on the schedule. We're on to Vegas.
We had fun in Vegas.
Yeah, Vegas is a great time. I hope the boys get a full advanced green, flashing green light and head to Vegas early. And
they're going there tonight. There's no way they're spending the night in Salt Lake City.
No, God, no.
They already spent one. They already spent
Yeah.
one. 2 nights.
And
They've
Vegas
been there
is
since
right
Sunday. They were there on Sunday. Because
Oh,
Olmark was talking about this. Olmark, if they lost, I was gonna go nuts about how this Olmark thing was like.
You
The
don't
fact
talk
that
to the media, right? Until it's like, hey, he's ready to come back. Now let's do media.
they were asking him about the lights in the building and how you like he was starting. They sent Sogard down. This was an emergency recall. I don't know why they didn't label it as an emergency recall. It was like Carolina came up
for
this
Levy
morning.
to get. Eh?
Yeah. But do you like that he's wearing number 1? Did he wear number 1 last year? Like when he played?
Oh.
I don't know if he did. I saw.
No, I think he was 35. Can't wear that anymore.
Right?
Oh.
It's taken. I like number 1. We need a number 1 goalie.
Yeah, who's the last one? Mike Condon? I'm actually gonna look this up.
I'm not a big fan of the number 1 goalie. For some reason, for me,
I wore one. That's Ray Emery for me, man.
That's such a backup goalie number.
No, that's a Ray Emery number, buddy. Come on, have a little respect.
That's a dress for the job you want. You want to be the number 1 goalie, so you get number 1.
Oh my goodness. We're gonna actually play a little game here. Can you name the 2 Senators goalies? Only 2 Senators goalies have worn number 1 since Ray Emery.
Oh, okay. Since
What? Condon's probably 1.
Sorry, it's actually 3.
Oh.
And one of them, they're both single season.
Did Dylan Ferguson wear number 1?
Yes, he
my
did.
God.
Nice.
I'm getting better at trivia.
And let's see if the chat can get the other one. Oh,
Yeah,
people are saying like
I have
Damian
mine,
Rhodes. You want to go all the way back? We can go to Steve Weeks, Craig Billington, Damian Rhodes. My guy, Yanni Yerme, wore it once before. I think he changed to 35 afterwards. Simon Lajeunesse. I remember him having a sick helmet. But the other one,
That is a French name.
let's see if the chat's
Wow.
going to get it. Simon Lajeunesse. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Nope, nobody's getting it. Pilsy, you interviewed this goalie before.
Marcus Hogberg?
Yes, Marcus Hogberg. These are guys who wore multiple numbers as well. The call-up guys, right? It depends who the 2 guys were there all the time. So those numbers change more frequently. But yeah, those are the and that was talking numbers. I guess we're a goalie-friendly show. We can talk numbers all the time. And I mean, this is just great that we have over 370 citizens with us here. Now I can say it's 1:15 a.m. Eastern time. So let's put a little bow on this one. I'm just feeling really good because you can't have this first 7-game set go to a final game to decide it. Win it, move on, feel good about that. Get a road win west of the Eastern time zone, and then build on that in Vegas on Friday night. Doesn't this make these 2 days off feel that much sweeter? Like when you lose, you want to get right back at it. So for the fact that this isn't the first time either where the Senators have been able to get that win, right? They did it Saturday. They're off Sunday and Monday. So you're able to get that. Whereas they lose on Thursday, boom, they're right back at it Saturday afternoon. Jack, final thoughts from you on today's show?
Don't look now is all I'm saying. Just don't look now. Like, let's just keep it rolling. 2 years ago, they were 4-2. They were 4-2 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And then we know what happened. So obviously this October stretch is different this year with the road trip that's happening, but I really like what I see just across the board. Goaltending, defense, 5-on-5 play, like everything. I like Travis Green, what he's doing. I like what's going on. Special teams is clicking like crazy, which was a huge issue last year. So don't look now. These next 2 games are going to be huge. You split them, whatever it is, win both, maybe. I don't know. But I'm feeling good. I'm feeling really good about where the team's at, honestly. Like this is a game that at the beginning didn't look like they were going to win. And they pull out the win because Anton Forsberg stole the show at the end. So feeling really good because they're winning in different ways every single night. They have 4 wins, and I think you could look at all four and say they won for different reasons in all four, which is a sign of a very, very good hockey team.
Pills, yeah, I think people are going to appreciate this, especially those who are catching up on the postcast in the morning. Before I get your final thoughts, why don't we hear from the man of the hour? The audio has been posted, so why don't we hear from Anton Forsberg after an Ottawa Senators 4-0 shutout win?
Players ahead of you just talked about weathering the storm in the first 7 minutes. You packed an umbrella, a raincoat, a wetsuit, maybe hip waders as well. You were quite prepared. It looked like you were in quite the zone.
Yeah, I mean, they came out hard, obviously. They got a few chances there from the start. Sometimes when it goes your way, it's a lot easier because you get into the not thinking much. So it was good, and they kind of rolled on from that.
I'll ask you if you're wearing a Speedo. Just talk about your team's play in front of you.
I mean, I thought, obviously we had periods where we weren't great out there, but the effort of blocking shots and defending, even though we had a lot of time in our zone, was really good. I don't know how many blocked shots we had out there tonight, but guys were getting in the puck lanes from all over the place, so it was fun to see, and it's one of those road wins that are super nice to get.
Anton, what has it been like for you this past week? Getting 4 starts in a row. Do you like that?
I mean, obviously, it's always nice to play. It's good to get in and go on. Just got to be ready for whatever. I might not play for a while. I might play 4 in a row. It's just do what I can do to prepare, and that's what I've kind of been focused on the whole time.
Do you feel like you've been getting comfortable each game?
Yeah, I mean, it's gotten better for sure. We tweaked a few things, and then today it felt like it really clicked. So you got to just keep building on that.
Easy to build off a win like this when you start this road trip off like this?
Yeah, I mean, the mood in the locker room is obviously great. So we just got to keep it rolling here, and we got a few more really good teams on the road here, and we just got to do the same work again.
What are your takeaways too from playing in Utah for the first time?
It was a nice arena, obviously. Good day yesterday. Some nice coffee shops. So it's didn't see a lot, but it seems like a good city, and I'm happy to be able to come out there. It's been one of the cities I haven't visited yet. So
it's just a case of just needing a couple.
That was an all-time question from Gord Wilson.
Speedo? But I think we're on to something here. That would be a hilarious team prop.
Player of the game puts on a Speedo right after.
It'd be funny, but I think there'd be some interest in that other than us being, laughing at that. I think that would be like a bit of an issue. I think just for PR-wise for the Sens.
This is crazy. By the way, Forsey's got these enormous laurels on the new helmet, and I don't think there's new jerseys coming this year. But the next jersey, it feels like there's going to be laurels on it, and we need
big
that.
Ones.
We need that. Should we listen to head coach Travis Green? I'm curious to see what his thoughts are on this game, because I thought, and we didn't mention him yet at all this postcast yet, Travis Green coached a very good game tonight. Before we actually get to that, I do want to bring this up, because last game, Josh Norris's line all played 21 plus minutes. Tonight, Shane Pinto's line played more than that line by 2 minutes. Stützle played less than Pinto tonight. That's the definition of depth, when each night you can have a different line that steps up and takes the reins.
Yeah, well, we talk about the center depth. Norris, Stützle, Pinto. You talk about it because you want them to be able to play 20 minutes a night each when any given night. So I don't even think it's not even worth being like, why isn't Stützle playing 20 minutes? It's good when you're saying, Ross, like your tone there was Pinto played 2 more minutes than Stützle, and it wasn't like why is he playing 2 more minutes? It's because he earned it, and that line was good. So I think that's great. Like I'm a fan of Travis Green. His media is really interesting to me. He's very short with the media, and he's very brief. Like brief is the same as short, but he's to the point. Doesn't really hide anything other than
like a Speedo.
Kind of like a Speedo, a little bit, yeah. So I'm curious what he says about this, because you know what else I like about Travis Green? I don't know if this is like because it's a new, media landscape with the Sens, ownership, whatever it is, new team, new coach, whatever. those mid-game or mid-intermission interviews on the bench, which I know American broadcasts have been more, common. They've been more common for those. I like those with Travis Green, just middle of the game after the first period. He just basically told Claire, like, yeah, we didn't play well. Forsberg was good. Middle of the game, I like those coaches' interviews. So that's a new thing that I think I've seen this year, just on the bench doing those.
Senators improved to 29, 15, and 3 when Stützle, Norris, and Pinto all play in the same game all time. All right, let's hear from the head coach of the Ottawa Senators, courtesy of the Ottawa Senators YouTube page. Here is Travis Green.
Getting here in the performance from your goaltender in the first 7-8 minutes.
Yeah, he was great tonight. He was phenomenal. I'm really happy for Forsey to give us a game like that. I thought the first period was almost a tale of two periods. Took us probably 10 minutes to get our legs under us to catch up to the speed of the game. They got a very fast team, and I felt like we were a little on our heels a little bit early, and Forsey kept us in it.
Did the 4-on-4 come at a good time then?
Yeah, I mean, I think we just started to gain some traction. You get a goal, you start to feel good. I thought the physicality of our game early or partway through the first helped us turn the tide a little bit. And second period was so-so, and I really liked our third.
When we talk about discipline, we often talk about staying out of the penalty box. Shift length was huge for you tonight. I don't think there was a player who averaged over 45 seconds.
Well, if you're going to work and you're going to work hard, it's hard to stay over 40 seconds. So, we've talked a lot about shift length and changing fast, changing hard. Guys bought into it tonight.
Ridley Gregg said it took about 10 minutes for him to just find his legs after the break. How did you think he played after that?
Fine. Yeah, I thought our whole team was good after the first 10 minutes. Like I said, Utah can catch you by surprise a little bit with how fast they are and the way they move the puck. And Forsey stood tall early and made some big saves. I thought he made some big saves in the second period as well. Given
that you guys got up 4-0, you said you had a so-so second period, but did you guys kind of change the game plan to play more defensive style later?
No, we didn't. As a matter of fact, after the second, we talked about staying aggressive within our systems, and I really liked our third, how we played with the lead.
How is this good to set a tone for this road trip?
It is. We talked the last couple of days with our group about the importance of this game. As a feeling as far as going on the road and getting the first win. You want to start well, but also a big difference, I think, between how you feel when you're 3-3 and 4-2. We got a couple days now to get ready for another building that's very lively, and that guys like playing in.
All right, there you go. That's Travis Green.
Last season was a
Pilsy, your final thoughts on today's show.
Final thoughts for me is it was nice to win a game like this. I feel like normally the Sens are on the other side of this, where they outwork teams. Their goalie that starts that night gets yanked early. They're out of the game, and it's just over and done with. And this time, the Ottawa Senators, sure, they don't get a lot of possession. They don't get a lot of zone time. They don't get a lot of shots. But when they do get opportunities, they capitalize on those with some of their players coming through big time. So it's just nice to win one that way for the Sens for once.
And we talked about how in the last number of games, boys, they'd let in 3 or more goals in 4 consecutive games. Not tonight. The Ottawa Senators pull out the victory. 4-0, the final score, beating the Utah Hockey Club. That's it for us tonight. Make sure you're following us on social media. You can find the links to our bios in the description. Jack Richardson, always appreciate having your takes on the postcast. The vibes all the way to the ceiling as the Ottawa Senators pull this one out. We'll be back tomorrow. Claire Hanna cameo from the airport on tomorrow's LOSP. Can't wait for that. For today, we say goodbye. That's Brandon Piller. I'm Ross Levitan. For Jack Richardson, we wrap up a 4-0 Senators win over the Utah Hockey Club. We'll chat tomorrow on Locked On Senators. It's your team every day.